Hi, my name's Reagan Replogle. I'm a stand-up comedian based out of Cincinnati, and today I've been invited to the Full Spin Club to talk about Frank by Amy Winehouse.
Heck yeah, Reagan. Welcome to the club.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
You should be stronger than me. I gotta know you're not. But you really wouldn't mind a million. You just can't live my life without you, baby. Come here, no sweet sound. My alibi.
What's up, everybody? My name is David Stewart, and welcome back to the Full Spin Club. Today we are talking about Frank by Amy Winehouse, and it is actually Reagan's first time on the show and her first live podcast recording. Am I right?
Ooh,
Ayo.
Yeah.
So, for those of you that are that are new to the club, there are three main segments to this show. There is On a Pedestal, which is where we talk about things we liked about the record. On a Spit, which is where we bring roasts or lowlights to the record, what we didn't like, that kind of stuff. And then there's On a Turntable, which is where I sent questions to Reagan ahead of time to kind of get her talking about her life and comedy and all of that other stuff with the album as a backdrop. Now, there are some record scratch moments throughout the show where I have prepared mini games. We have our mainstay game, Hit or Full of Shit, which is where I have takes that I either gotten from Pitchfork, Anthony Fantano, or my Instagram based on when I ask people their opinions. And then we talk about whether they're good takes or bad takes. And then there's a second mini game that is a surprise that I'll reveal later. But they kind of pop up like the Daily Double in Jeopardy. But without further ado, let's get into the episode. So Reagan, I usually ask people to give me a one-word descriptor of the album as like sort of a warm-up to getting the show started.
I'll say one word to describe it: introspective.
Introspective. Okay.
Yeah, because I mean, it's kind of a story when you listen to it. It's just about her life. She was 19.
Sure.
When she did it, so.
Fair. I think a caveat to that is about as introspective as a 19-year-old can be.
Yes. Exactly. Exactly.
There's only so much depth you can have.
Yeah, she definitely has like 19-year-old girl problems. But with fame,
Yeah,
as
well, this was recorded like pre-fame. This was her first album. And so like it's.
Yeah, but she was in the industry by then, right?
I mean,
I know it was her debut album.
Yeah, it was her debut album, and like, sure, you're in the industry. It's like kind of like how you and I, as amateur comedians right now, are in the industry. You know what I'm saying? Like, like pre-special, right?
Okay,
so think of her first album as like your first comedy special. Like, neither of us have done that. We're in the scene, but like what does that mean?
Yeah.
But okay, so my one word, you're gonna hate this. You're gonna hate this. My one word is boring.
Oh, no.
This album was
I should have done Back to Black, I guess.
Don't worry, I have notes. I have notes about my one word is boring. But again, that kind of is like honestly echoing your word of like introspective, but introspective from a 19-year-old's perspective.
Oh yeah, I guess like, it's boring for you because you're not a 19-year-old.
Right,
girl.
I'm 30 and a man.
Yeah.
And so I think this was a tough sell. But you're one of the people who has brought this record to the club as opposed to being assigned a record. Yes. So as a follow-up question, what made you want to do this record on the Full Spin Club?
I just really love this album. I think I found it she's a bisexual woman.
Sure.
She's young.
Mm-hmm.
Was young. But yeah, I guess I can relate to the album in some ways.
Sure.
And
it just found you at the right time.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I have albums like that too. I think like realistically, I should not have spent as much time listening to Good Charlotte as I did. But like Good Charlotte just found me in the 5th grade, and I was like, yeah, this is perfect.
Yeah, like when this is in the car and I'm driving someone, I do apologize.
Do you?
Yeah, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry.
Going through it.
All right, perfect. What's up, everybody? Thank you so much for joining us on this journey of listening to full albums. I'm so grateful you're here. Please like, comment, subscribe. But in a second, let's go ahead and talk about our sponsor today, Worse Help. Worse Help is a platform for struggling artists to get on and get terrible mental health advice. It is the opposite of other telehelp therapy sessions where you, the struggling artist, are going to be put in a terrible headspace because what makes great art? Being mentally ill. We're so grateful to have them as a sponsor because I know as an artist myself that when I'm in a terrible headspace, I make my best work. So please go to the link in the description, go get you some terrible mental health advice, and go start making your best work. You will get 25% off your first session, and thank you so much again for tuning in. Let's get back to the show. All right, so that ends the Gimme Award, and then I think we're going to hop right into On a Pedestal. So we're going to talk about 3 things that we liked about the record. Okay. It's funny, you came in today and you said, I had a hard time roasting this, and on the other end, I was like, I had a hard time coming up with 3 things where I was like, this rocks. So I'm going to let you start this section off with your first thing that you loved, and then we'll get into mine.
I mean, I just like the ups and downs of the album.
Okay.
You know, the story.
Can you go into that? Yeah.
Yeah, because You Sent Me Flying, definitely an up.
Okay.
You know, with Cherry.
Yeah.
And I like how you can tell, like, when she's obviously singing about a woman and when she's singing about a man.
Mm-hmm.
And it's almost like when she's singing about a man, she doesn't want to be singing about him.
Sure. It's usually coming from a place of hurt.
Yeah.
Versus
like, where the woman, it's like she's head over heels over the moon.
Like giddy about it.
Yeah.
Okay. I get that. My first one thing that I liked was, like, it is a solid introduction to Amy Winehouse as an artist. So, like, along the themes of, like, this is your first record, show us what you got, that kind of thing. I do think that's a really solid introduction to Amy Winehouse as a person, and, like, as a songwriter and a performer. Like, it checks all the boxes of, like, a first record, because, like, she clearly is showing us that she has, like, those jazz sensibilities. She's showing us she has pipes, all these things, but, like, the songwriting itself is lackluster, but that's, to me, as someone who listens to, like, a ton of music and also, like, just has an ear for, like, oh, this is young, like, which is, like, fair. Like, I'm not expecting anyone to come out the gate and, like, knock my socks off with their first record. Like, even, like, albums that I love a ton by artists that I like are, like, Fall Out Boy for a record. Like, their first record is one of my favorites, but it's also young and stupid. But I was just the right age. So, like, I'll give you some grace for loving a boring album. That's fine.
I mean, I think, like, my second thing, she did everything. She wrote the music, she wrote the lyrics, like, all of her early interviews. Have you seen those where she is 19 and people are asking, like, how she came up with, and also I like how she's pretty hard on herself. Like, she'll say, I like the live recordings of the album, because she'll be like, I think this song is shit.
Oh, okay.
When really he's like, damn, that's my favorite one. She's like, I could have, like, spent so much longer on this, or this one took me a year to write.
But don't you feel like that's how you feel about your jokes? Like, or like, you know, like, same. I mean, like, that wasn't meant to be pointed.
No. Like, every time I get off stage, I'm like, I could have done better. Yeah,
I'm often told that I'm way harder on myself than anyone else is. They'll be like, that was great. I'm like, please.
Don't talk to me.
Yeah, please. This was fine at best.
Yeah.
So I get that for sure. And it was good that she knew there was more to her. I think that's something that I think about a lot comedy-wise, is, like, I was like, you're constantly chipping away at trying to find the thing.
Yeah.
And, like, every attempt, you're like, still not the thing.
Yeah.
Like, so I get that from a young artist perspective. Do you have a second one that you, like, your second thing that you loved about it, or did you already just say that?
I kind of said it.
All right.
What is your... What do you scrape up?
My second one was Stronger Than Me is currently stuck in my head as of writing this, meaning that neurologically there's something there that I like and my brain is craving more of. Yeah. Like, so, like, even though I'm like, this is it. But, like, the most of my afternoon this afternoon was, like, that with that song stuck in my head. So, like, that, she was on to something with that song for sure. And, like, obviously opened the album with it for, like, a purpose. She's like, this might be it. Like, because, like, when you're doing track listings on an album, same with, like, set lists of jokes, like, you're trying to, like, introduce yourself to people at the top of your set. And same with, like, albums, right? Like, with set lists, you're like, because, like, with albums, you're starting a record, you're like, you got to start strong, or else you're not going to keep people for the rest of the album. Because, like, if she put some of those middle boys in there, like, at the top, I'd be like, I don't know.
You wouldn't like if there's no greater love.
Like, as an opener, I'm like, I don't know. It seems kind of weak.
I do love I Heard Love Is Blind. You don't like that one?
The other one that I had written down was Take the Box.
Take the Box is really good.
Yeah, and, like, I have more notes on that, but if you want to go onto your third pedestal moment before we rock mine.
Oh, I guess I just love how the strong like jazz background she has.
Oh, yeah.
It's a strong jazz background, but she talks about wanting her music to reflect like people that are her age.
For sure.
Or were her age. Like it's called Frank because she based it off of, she loves Frank Sinatra.
Mm-hmm.
So I think a lot of people think like Frank is the guy, but I honestly think it's about like multiple people that she's been in relationships
For
with,
sure.
and it's just called Frank because of Frank Sinatra.
Yeah, I had heard that it was named after Frank Sinatra, not necessarily any one guy named Frank.
Yeah, because people are like, "Who's Frank?" And she's like,
yeah, like guys, come on.
"It's just Frank Sinatra."
Yeah. All right, so my third one was she's a descriptive storyteller, which is compelling. And you mentioned that as like I didn't necessarily make any connections song to song as far as like making it like a concept album where like it is one big story.
Concept. Yeah.
But she is like a descriptive storyteller, and like Take the Box is probably my favorite example of it, especially the first verse that she opens with describing what it was like to get into the apartment, like that she doesn't have a key to.
Yeah.
Or like she doesn't know the downstairs neighbor, or else she would like buzz him instead because I don't want to talk to you, that kind of thing. Like, so that is really descriptive, and that is helpful when like world building, like when it comes to writing. But it was like my like negative note on the other half, on like the other side of this coin, is that like she's telling the same story. like,
yeah, it's very
like
it's like she never learns.
Yeah, it's like each song's like a different version of the same story, kind of like Georgia O'Keeffe painting 36 of the same door.
Yeah.
Like yes, they're different because she was feeling different at the time, but it is still the same door.
Yeah.
And that's how this feels. Like it's still heartbreak. Like
yeah, I think that's why I like it so much, because it's like
because it just explores the depths of
and it's like she keeps making the same mistake. And I feel like I keep making the same
Ooh.
mistake. So it's like it resonates. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Since we talked about having some hot takes as far as like my opener saying it was boring, let's go ahead and we'll do our first record scratch moment of the show. We're going to play Hit or Full of Shit. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Yeah?
I think I
Hey,
don't know
nervous.
exactly what these games are going to be, but I'm ready.
Well, Hit or Full of Shit is where I found takes while reading reviews of the album or came up with them myself, and we're going to decide whether they're good or bad takes by calling it hit or full of shit.
Okay.
Full of shit. So the first one is from me, and it says, "This album is incredibly boring." It was totally necessary for her to step up her game when Back to Black came around. Otherwise, no one would have hung around. And I think, because like I think like I don't know whether it was her choice to like really swing for the fences on Back to Black, or if it was like the record label being like, "Hey, cool,
yeah,
but what if it were better?"
Yeah, I mean, if it wasn't for that album, she wouldn't have been picked up.
Sure. Well, also, but like this album got released in the States late. Like I think it was like written and released in like 2001, and like but it didn't make it to the States until 2003, right before Back to Black came out. So that like, because like I think they were gonna push Back to Black in the States, and they're like, well, we need to like get the first one out over there so that like, we can like see what's up.
Yeah,
Put Stronger Than Me on MTV or something, and like
yeah.
see if it gets any traction.
Yeah, agreed.
So, hit or full of shit. The album is boring.
I mean, I can see why you think it's boring, because I just feel like it wouldn't relate to you, like I said, unless you were a young woman.
Sure, a young bisexual woman, which, gosh,
Then
so many things going against me on this record.
I can completely see how it's boring then.
All right, so hit. The next one is from Pitchfork, which is the famed music review website, often kind of mean. And and this review was no different. The self-destructive tortured artist routine was bullshit when Kurt Cobain did it, and it is bullshit when Elliott Smith did it, and it's bullshit now. That is the opening line of the Pitchfork review for this album. Hit or full of shit?
Full of shit.
Dang, you tell that Pitchfork reviewer.
Full of shit.
All right, tell him why he's wrong.
I mean, I was a baby when this came out. And like she was kind of a baby. She was only 19.
Right.
So it's like, how deep do you want her to get?
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Yeah.
It's a good album for where she was in her career,
Mhm.
which was just started,
Sure.
and how old she is.
I think the
and
point.
the life experience that she had, which wasn't much.
Fair. I think the point that like this reviewer is trying to make is that he's really tired of the tortured artist trope of people like getting themselves into shitty situations just to write about it, because like it did start to feel that way. Like as you listen through the record, you're like, are you only doing this to like get material from it? Like it's like when comedians don't or like live life bits, like they don't ever turn off. Everything in their life is a bit because they're just constantly like trying to figure out what they're going to say on stage.
Yeah.
And I think what he's calling out, like what really worked me up about this one was like, man, calling Kurt Cobain full of shit or like, and like Elliott Smith, I'm like, God damn. This guy does not like sad people.
I mean, I don't exactly think she's always playing the victim. Like, you should be stronger than me.
Yeah.
I still think she's like playing the character of a strong woman. She's always like leaving. It's never, I don't think there's a song on here where she's really like sitting in the misery.
Sure.
She's always just like leaving and going on to the next. And is she doing the same exact thing?
Maybe.
Yeah, but like
maybe. Okay. So you said full of shit. I actually kind of agree, mostly because like I don't think you can have art without having the self-destructive people.
Yeah.
Like doing the thing, you know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
Like it draws that kind of person for a purpose.
Yeah.
Like granted, like in the olden days I switched up my like comedy to like not be self-destructive, because it is like ultimately, and as we learned with, you know, Amy Winehouse specifically, it does lead to roads that are just not great, aka dying tragically young.
Yep.
So I get it, calling that kind of behavior out, worth it, but I do think this guy was overly harsh for no reason to like a young 19-year-old girl.
Yeah. And in comedy, it does kind of make the audience sad sometimes.
Oh, we've seen that time and time again. Yeah, we see it time and time again. It's stand-up comedy is not therapy, is what we're saying. It's best done in tandem with therapy, but you should not be taking out your thoughts onto random people who are at a bar that didn't even want comedy to be happening.
Yeah.
So
I've had people come up to me and say, "Thank you for not talking about offing yourself." I won't say that S word on here, but I'm like, got it.
Yeah, I've been the guy at the open mic that's just like, all right, I'm gonna go kill myself now. That's fair. All right, our last one. Being called an old soul and seeming older than she really was must have fueled the fire of not feeling comfortable in her skin. This probably caused a lot of insecurities and issues she felt she needed to numb with alcohol and drugs. So do you think that it is a hit or full of shit that being called an old soul and being treated as older than she was all the time is what created the path of self-destruction?
Oh, yeah. I'm sure. I mean, she was dating people that were older than her. Like, significantly older than her. So, yeah, it kind of set herself up for growing up too fast and being pushed into drugs and alcoholism. And
yeah, I agree. I think, like, because like I used to work as a preschool teacher, and one of the things we talked about is like making sure that a child is treated as a child.
Yeah.
You know, and like that they are like not to like make the child like a parental role in the house, like or anything like that, or like treat them older than they are. Like, you know, you treat them appropriately. Like, and I don't think anyone ever really did. And I'm not gonna put it on her and like victim shame and be like, well, she was asking for it. I don't think that's. And I was like, I don't know, dude. And like, she's 19.
Yeah.
Be cool.
Yeah.
Like,
this is I was having a long argument with my mom about this.
Really?
Yes.
Yes. You want to air this out?
Because she was saying that, you know, it was her choice at the end of the day. Like, she could have made the decision. You know, she could.
You're talking specifically about Amy Winehouse with your mom?
Yes.
Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah. Because she was like, she could have stopped. Like, you know, in the end, she's the only one that could stop, or she's the only one that can save herself. I'm like,
sure.
Yeah, but she was also young.
Yeah.
Surrounded by people that are older than her.
And like enabled, because like she was like their meal ticket.
Yeah.
You know, like her dad was like on her payroll. You know, like people are making money off of her. She's suddenly like a conglomerate. Like, she's a business.
Did she ever go to rehab?
I don't think so.
Yeah, I mean, she has a whole song
I was
going to
say, I think she famously
did not
she
said,
go to
no,
rehab.
no. She didn't go to rehab. I'm like, yeah, when you're booked and busy, I guess they're like, you're fine.
Well, also, like, yeah, denial is like a huge part of most things. But yeah, this one, like, I think this one is a hit because, like, I think that just being treated old and being called an old soul all the time, like, does not. I think it skips steps, like, of, like, learning and whatnot and, like, how to cope, like, coping mechanisms. You're like, well, I'm so old already. I must know all of this. And it's like, I don't think you did. Like,
I don't think she was ever given the space to learn how to have even a healthy relationship with herself.
No, especially because, like, then she got successful off of these toxic relationships. And so, like, then it's like there's no reason to bail from the toxic relationship because suddenly you're making money on it. Like, in the old days when I was writing jokes about being big, because, like, I've lost all that weight. I was like, when I was writing jokes about being big, I was like, man, imagine, like, I take off, right? Like, because, like, sometimes stand-up feels like Russian roulette, where like all of a sudden, like, bang, you're popped, and you're on. And so, like, I was like, man, dude, if I got famous making these jokes about myself where, like, I hate myself, then, like, suddenly I'm gonna be compelled to keep doing that because that's what's my paycheck is. Yeah. And, like, so, like, I was like, no, like, I don't want to do that. Yeah. And so I imagine that, like, it's like a really complex thing to be, like, so young and be like, I don't know.
Yeah, like, I don't even think she was given the space to love herself. Like, she went into eating disorders. I think that's what I know. Alcohol poisoning took her out, but I think bulimia was a big part of it as well. Yeah. So just not a lot of great coping skills because, like, she spent all those years where you learn those things, like your 20s, like, she never even got her 20s to herself.
Which is dude, it's now that I've, like, breached 30, I'm like, oh my god, like, your 20s are crazy, and like your 20s are,
I'm
like,
learning.
Right, your 20s are like a time to figure all that stuff out, all of your coping mechanisms, and, like, not having your 20s stolen from you. It feels similar to having, like, your childhood stolen from you in a way, like, because, like, it is the childhood version of adulthood. Yeah, where, like, you're learning how to be an adult, just like when you were a kid, you're learning how to be a human. Yeah. And you're right. I think that being stolen from her was ultimately what really caused a lot of this.
Definitely.
Which I guess you could say about, like, any child star, quote unquote. Yeah. Like, I know Justin Bieber, like, you know, had a hard time dealing with coping mechanisms because he was, like, what, 13?
Yeah. Miley Cyrus, same thing.
Yeah, same thing. And now they're all coming back around like, hey, I'm healed now. But, like, there was like that era where, like,
I'm like, creeping up on 40, but I feel a lot better.
Yeah, but I'm doing great now. All right, well, that ends Hitter Full of Shit. Thanks for playing. We had 2 hits, 1 full of shit. That makes sense. So, moving on to On a Spit. This was your toughest one, where you could not come up with roasts for the album. Meanwhile, I think this is the first section that I wrote. Yeah, okay. Start with yours. Okay.
I'm running it now. I'm like, you do yours.
Don't worry, Carl Spade did that too. He just started running the show. Nobody respects me on this show. That seems to be the main theme. All right, so my first roast was, this was definitely one of the more fun ways I've heard a Jewish person steal black music and culture for their own gain. It's usually done in writing credits, not performance, so that's nifty.
Dude, that's brutal. Jesus. I mean, at least she credits, like, her inspiration. She's influenced a lot by
she thanks Salam a lot.
Jazz. Yeah.
But typically you find Jewish people stealing black culture in the writing credits. Not full on just singing.
She just took it off. Hey, my girl likes jazz. Yeah. Yeah.
Colonialism's alive and well in Europe.
I'd say just, like, the repetitive, it's like, geez, can she get out of this never-ending cycle of these unhealthy men? Honestly, the women, like, the songs about, I won't say females, the women that she's with, seem like the most positive, like, the happiest she is. And then every song about a man, it's just, like, the same story, but a different part of it, like, getting all of her shit and leaving his apartment, and you know, that is kind of an exhausting theme.
Yeah, I mean, agreed.
In the album. Guess that's why you think it's boring.
Well, yeah, because, like, exhausting is the same thing as boring in my head a lot. Yeah. Where I'm like, damn, this isn't enough. Tell me a story about literally anything else. Like, because, like, one of the cool things about Amy Winehouse is, like, she has a great voice. Tell me some other things. Yeah. You know, it's like, you can't hide. I think actually I have Okay, yeah, all right. This actually is a good segue to my third roast instead of my second.
Okay.
It's like, this album was a fun exercise in how many ways can I say the same thing. Unfortunately, the funky jazz keys she sings in aren't enough to counterbalance the one-note themes she's using those keys to express.
Yeah.
Like, so, yeah, like, great voice, but, like, the other half is, like, having compelling stories to tell, as well as making them sound compelling. Because, like, she's really good at making them sound compelling.
Yeah.
But not, like, the sort of, like, the core of it be compelling as well. I think that was, like, the weakest point of this record.
Yeah. Like, you're saying the message isn't really hitting.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is pretty obvious.
Or if it is hitting, it's beating the shit out of me.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
you know, I don't really like the song Brother. I don't know why. I think it's like what you mentioned. It just feels very level the whole time.
Was that one of the ones that's like after outro? Because
Yes.
I think that's like a bonus track. And so like I was like, I didn't like either of those bonus tracks. And I was like, there's probably a reason this was not on like the original release.
Yeah, those two are like not my favorites. They just feel very kind of monotone. I don't know. There's just not much excitement to them.
No, I agree. After I get to, like, when I get to outro, I'm like, this is a good place to end the record. And then like you get those bonus tracks, and I was like, we're back for the world's most mediocre encore. Sick.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'll hate on that one. I do not like those two.
Okay, that's fair. Because I was like, because it's a slog. Like, so like the album is like not super long, but because of the repetitiveness, it can seem long.
Yeah.
Like, have you ever heard, like, it's like we all, like, in the stand-up scene right now, most of us do 5 minutes at a time, like, at any open mic. And I gauge if your set is good based on how long it feels. Because I know the time is the same, but if it feels long, then you're having a bad set. Yeah,
because some people, it's just like, they suck you into their own little world.
Yeah.
And it's like time doesn't even exist.
Yeah. And then, like, and that's good and bad sometimes. Like, if it feels quick, then I'm like, oh, this was great. Like, you kept me engaged, you kept me moving. Like, I was like, oh, wow. Like, and then, but yeah, some people, so like this album is like one of those sets where the 5 minutes is taking forever. Cause like it's not a long album, but it does feel long.
Yeah.
And like having those bonus tracks at the end, I was like, no.
Yeah.
It felt like running the light.
Yeah. I get that. Have you listened to like the live versions of the? Because I
watched like a few of the documentaries in prep for this, and so like I saw like clips. You know,
I honestly
of, like,
love the live versions of these songs a lot better, except like a couple where it just feels like she's I don't know if she's on drugs when she did it.
Fair.
But yeah, I do enjoy the live version just because she has like more freedom, or sometimes she riffs a little bit.
Well, like that's like the ethos of jazz is that it's meant to be improvised.
Yeah.
And so like while it's live, that makes total sense that it's better because like the recorded version is just set now, and like all your choices are officially set in stone. Versus like it's a little more living and breathing when you're like playing it live. It's like similar to like stand up. I prefer, you know, live stand up versus like listening to a special in my car. I know like I'm weird in that way. Like, yeah. But I'd rather be there and watch them work. Mostly because I'm interested from like a anthropological perspective of like how are you doing this right now? Yeah. Like, you know, like versus like special's a special. It's done.
It's done and then you scrap it.
Yeah.
Start over.
You start over again.
Yeah. I don't think she didn't really scrap this for Back in Black though.
Like the sound, like it was like the tones are the same, like her jazzy voice, but like it's not like she redid songs like and re-released them like more edgy.
Yeah, more edgy.
Even more of an urban twist because we're still chasing black culture.
Yeah. All right. She kind of did though. No?
Oh yeah, don't worry. She was chasing black culture like a cop might also chase black culture.
Okay. That's what they do.
The two things they're famously known for: terrible teeth and wrecking black culture.
Yeah.
Cool. Speaking of big teeth,
becoming famous off of it.
Yeah. Speaking of big teeth, my third roast. Always fun to add data to the pool that confirms big teeth equals big sound. A hypothesis founded by Freddie Mercury.
Okay. That's funny. I wouldn't even consider this like a dig at the album, but I wish she just had more feel good songs.
Sure. Just break up the monotony.
Yeah, because all the ones about women are just such like You Sent Me Flying and Cherry. That's such a feel good song. It's just not sad. And I don't even think her sad songs are exactly sad all the time, because she's just kind of, she's getting out of this situation. But I do wish she had like at least one more feel good.
Yeah. Provide us some hope that you're not the tortured person the guy in Pitchfork was complaining about.
Yeah, the tortured artist.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, maybe you and the Pitchfork guy get along.
Maybe. I gotta meet him.
All right, that wraps up On a Spit. I think we're going to hit one more record scratch before we get into On a Turntable, our final segment. How are you feeling? Are you ready for a mini game? This one's silly and fun.
Yeah, I like silly and fun.
Silly and fun. So this game is called Consequences. It's a game of Would You Rather.
Okay.
So, given Amy Winehouse's really tragic end and choices of alcohol abuse, I can't imagine that comes without anything but hangovers, unless she's just partying forever.
Yeah, forever. She wakes up, takes a shot.
Yeah, wakes up, and so I imagine she dealt with a lot of hangovers in her life.
Yeah.
So the would you rather portion of this game of Consequences is, would you rather be hungover or? So that is the name of the game. So we're picking between being hungover or a fun thing that I came up with.
Okay.
Are you ready?
Yes.
Would you rather be hungover or sit down and make yourself a budget?
I'd rather be hungover. I'd rather be hungover, dude.
You mean the fan of Amy Winehouse doesn't want responsibility?
Because I've sat down and budgeted before, and I am not that person anymore.
I'd rather be egregiously hungover than make a budget. I'm the opposite. I'd rather just rock a budget.
Yeah, dude, you just got a house.
Yeah.
No, it's so scary to see money leaving your account and you don't know where it's going.
Yeah.
I've made those charts. I don't want to look at them anymore. What is this? Why is $30 leaving my account every single month? Maybe I'm using it. Maybe it's just Bumble.
You're just, oh God.
Maybe it's
$30 a month on Bumble?
I think it's a week.
A week?
I can't turn it off. You can help me
after this,
after.
we're going to do, yeah, dude, we are getting you off that. That's crazy.
Yeah, it's a lot of money.
Now the show's going to turn into me giving you a budget. Budgeting. So we don't end up like Amy Winehouse.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure she had someone budgeting for her.
Yeah, probably her dad who was taking advantage of her.
Word.
All right. Next up, would you rather be hungover or have a sit down with your situationship and have a long talk about your future together?
Dude, I've already done that. Oh, God.
In my mind, it's more of a por qué no los dos? Why not both?
Yeah, exactly. It's I've already done it, so I'll do it again.
Yeah.
Does it work out? No. They just think you're crazy.
So are you saying you'd rather be hungover than have a long talk with your situationship about your future together?
Oh, God. No, I am crazy, so I'd probably have a long talk with my situation.
There you go.
Yeah.
You and I are opposite. I'd rather be hungover.
I'd do the crazy route. Scare him away again.
Don't get me wrong. I always do. If I ever, I'm out of that era, thank God. But I always did the right thing and had the talk. But God, if you were to give me the option, the situationship will be gone forever and you don't have to talk about it ever again.
Well, guys hate
all you got to
talk.
do. Well, yeah, but I am different. I did it every time. All right, if you're watching this, I know.
You did it every time?
Yeah, I was.
You're a good person.
I'm very responsible, and not every single time. If it left the chat, I would have a talk. You know what I'm saying? So if it left the chat and I met up with you, then I would tell you how it was going. I'm feeling that, I'm not, or anything like that. But if it didn't leave the chat, see, the chat is ghosting territory. If you're just not feeling it,
Yeah, usually I can scare them before we even meet in person. And I usually there's this one guy who said point Reagan, Elliot 0 because I scared that kid off, dude. But at least you had the chat.
Shout out Elliot.
Yeah. Said I was cute, but he never wants to meet me. I guess I am quite frightening, but at least you had the chat because usually guys, like if I try to bring it up, they're like, that's scary questions.
No, I'll toil about it for like 3 days and then do it.
Yeah.
and I'm like, so like if someone offered me a hangover and not toil for 3 days, I'm like, oh, hangover every time.
Yeah.
Every single time.
Do you text them like, we gotta talk?
I always try to do it in person. There's one specific situation in my mind that is coming to, it's like I always try to do it in person, but she could tell I was being weird, and so she asked me in the chat like, what's up, and I was like, dang it, I was waiting. But because you've asked me directly,
so
I am now.
Sent a novel.
Yeah, I sent a novel, and it was tough. She was very kind. It worked out great. We're very like, no hard feelings or anything like that, but damn, that 3 days was tough, and so was the conversation.
No hard feelings. She has like a voodoo doll of you.
Yeah, probably.
She's a witch. Dude, you're hexed. It's underneath the couch.
No, I toiled about it for a minute. It was tough. All right, are you ready for the last one?
Yeah, these are fun.
Would you rather be hungover or bomb 3 mics in a row every night for a week?
Oh, hungover, 100%. Are you serious?
Every time you step on stage,
dude,
for
that
a
would
week.
make me hungover. I would drink if that was happening to me.
Like no laughs, 3 mics a night, 1 week, 21 times.
No, hungover.
What's the?
I'll do coke in the bathroom if I can get out of that, dude. Are you kidding me?
But the crazy thing is, all right, hold on.
I don't do coke. I don't do coke.
I'm gonna have a subtitle that's like, she does coke.
I'm the problem in the scene.
All right, so if we started taking away days of that week, do you think you would ever choose like bombing versus a hangover? Like, where is your tipping point?
If like I'll bomb once, but I want to bomb like 3 mics in a row.
So not even one day of that. You
that's
choose
happened.
the hangover over it. Oh God.
I mean, I've like bombed. I've done like 3 or 4 mics and maybe like bombed the first 2 or 3, and then like the last one.
Okay.
Yeah.
The
But
last
it's hard
one
not
you fix
to bomb
it.
in front of comics.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Usually, like if
it was an audience, like if I was at Go Bananas and hungover, I don't want to bomb like 3 times in a row at Go Bananas. I'd be so sad.
Yeah, I've bombed in that room too many times to count.
We all have.
Yeah, and
it's Montgomery.
yeah, I would. I think.
You'd rather bomb than be hungover?
Reagan, I'm getting old. These hangovers get worse.
I don't really get hungover.
See, that's why I've
only been hungover like once in my life.
I was writing this section and I was like, I don't know. Reagan's like 23. She probably doesn't even get hungover. She's probably the worst.
I don't drink that much. I've been like hungover once, and I just remember being at a Waffle House after.
I mean,
like,
that's typically where that's where hangovers go to die. Like
yeah.
that's where hangover. Like you walk in hungover, you leave having watched a really fun fight.
Yeah. She was beating another employee with my hash browns.
That cures everything.
Yeah.
All right, let's say
best hangover ever.
All right, hold on. New question.
It was in Atlanta.
If you bombed 3 times in a row, but you knew you got to go to Waffle House and watch someone get beat up with your plate of hash browns, would you do it?
Yes.
100% easy.
Yeah,
I'd absolutely bomb to have that reward at the end. Yeah.
Sightings at Waffle House, and I've seen quite a few.
Oh, it's the best. Shout out Waffle House. Please sponsor us.
Yeah. Dude, we'll get the hats and everything.
Yeah. Oh, man.
I have people on the other side I could get.
You got people on the other side of Waffle House?
I could get us hooked up.
Dude, if I got Waffle House merch for the show, that'd be so sick.
That would be sick. This table, it's just a big waffle.
Oh, that would be amazing. Dang it. So many good ideas. That's why you guys should like, comment, and subscribe, because I have all these silly ideas that have nothing to do with music that I would like to incorporate in the show.
Exactly. Like waffles.
Anyway. All right. That ends the mini game Consequences, a game of hangovers or. Mm-hmm. So, how was that for you? Was that good?
That was lots of fun. Make up more questions.
Make up more questions.
Yeah.
Well, now we are taking a turn to On a Turntable, which is the more serious notes. So I did make up questions for this, but I sent them to you ahead of time so you could think about them while you were listening to the album. Are you ready to give these a good talking to, and then we'll get out of here for the day? How do you sound? Or how does that sound? All right. So our first question here is, as a straight white male in my 30s, I noticed certain themes throughout the record that I find intriguing. I'm curious, though, from your perspective, what are some of the themes that you picked up on, and why do you think they jumped out at you so much?
Kept going back to a guy that doesn't want her.
Oh, sure.
Obviously. Kind of like head over heels for a woman easily.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I think you can just tell you just connect so much more with a woman. Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, than with a man. Read the question again.
Say it again. Whisper it.
Yeah, make it ASMR style, please.
As a straight white male in my 30s, I noticed certain themes throughout the record that I found intriguing. But I'm curious, though, from your perspective, what are those themes that you picked up on, and why do you think they jumped out at you so much as opposed to my own? So, like, the themes I picked up on are similar to you. Like, it is heartbreak, or it is, like, jumping around from relationship to relationship.
Mm-hmm.
I also picked up on, like, feeling older than she is. That was something that I picked up on. But that's, again, because, like, it's from the outside perspective. Like, I wasn't as in on, like, the love factors because I was like, you're a child. Mm-hmm. Like, you don't actually know what this is about or what you want, nor should you, because you're young. That's fine.
Yeah.
But I also just found that, like, being treated as older was something that I noticed a lot. Feeling like, especially even like in Stronger Than Me, like, I think that's mostly her complaining about the fact that, like, you're older than me. You should be, the one in charge.
I think that's why I like that song so much. Because also, I've always been on the younger side of my. I've always been young, but no, I've always just been the youngest in my class. Mm-hmm. The people I'm dating are usually older than me.
Sure.
So it's like, how am I the most grown one in this situation? Yeah. How do I have my head on my shoulders? But you are like, falling apart.
Right.
But at the same time, how is my head on my shoulders and I keep going back to like the same person? Because she just keeps going back or keeps dating older men. But it's also, I don't even know if she was in a place to date people her age.
Sure.
Like, I don't even know if she was around people her age.
That's fair. Yeah, I know, like, in the documentaries, they talked about her leaving, like, the house pretty young. Like, she was just kind of, like, done, like, with school and stuff. She's like, I'm done. Like, I get that. That resonated with me a bit because, like, I also was just, like, and, like, I actually attributed it to, like, my parents getting divorced in high school and, like, having to grow up real quick. Mm-hmm. And I was like, by the time I got to college, I was like, this is a playpen for teenagers. Like, that's how college felt for me. And I was like, same. I want to just be an adult now because I've been treated like an adult. I feel like an adult. Let's go be an adult. Mm-hmm. And then, like, entered the workforce and was like, this is ass.
Yeah. College is weird for me because I wasn't 21 until my senior year.
Oh, my God.
Yeah. So it was just like that weird thing of all my friends are sometimes 2 or 3 years older than me. And I'm still, I was in college I graduated high school at 17. Okay, yeah. Yeah, so I was just 18 when I got there. Yeah. So it was just kind of weird. It was my first time really having friends that were older than me. And now I have friends that are a lot older than me. Yeah. So it's just a continuing
What's up,
thing.
guys? This is totally cool. I'm 30. It's whatever.
Well, it's kind of how I like it because I've always kind of felt like I've always sat at the adult table rather than, like, because I danced growing up, so there's like the adult table and the kids table. I always wanted to be with the adults. I didn't want to be with the foolishness.
These foolish youngest.
Yeah.
Do you attribute that to being like? Are you the youngest in your family?
Yes.
Yeah. Do you attribute that because like you had older brothers?
That does, yeah, most likely.
Because like I'm the youngest as well, and I think that attributes it because like one, you get to watch them fuck up, and then you're like, well, I don't have to do that. And, like, lesson learned for both of us. Thank you. Yeah. Yeah.
Shout
out, Katie. I know you're not watching, but
yeah, it's like I'd just rather hang with the moms.
Sure.
At this point.
Yeah.
Love the moms. So.
Let's talk about Costco.
Always been in Costco. I was born there, actually.
You were born at a Costco?
Born inside of a Costco. No.
Why haven't? Oh,
no, I wasn't.
I was like, if this was real, like, why haven't I heard this on stage? Come on.
That would be sick, though. I was born in the produce.
Oh, God. That's why my hair's so red.
That'd be so funny. Yeah, my mom just got a super pack of diapers and we headed out.
Yeah, we had it out of there. It was all done.
Yeah.
They had every tool to deliver a baby there.
Yeah, we have insurance and it's out of Costco. Had to give birth at Costco.
Okay. On to our next question. Something that makes Amy different than her mainstream colleagues of the time was her jazz influences. Despite some reviews of this record stating it felt a little lackluster, the mere premise of jazz-inspired... The mere premise of being jazz-inspired was compelling enough to get people to listen. Are there any compelling foundations you find yourself trying to uncover as a comic, and what has that process been like in your short time doing stand-up comedy so far?
Read the last part again.
So basically she's jazz is like her thing.
Yeah.
That's like what makes her compelling from the jump, even as a young person. So despite, are there any compelling foundations you find yourself trying to uncover in your stand-up?
I guess just like trying to find out who I am on stage.
Sure.
And like studying other comics. Like I've always loved Bill Burr. And I always wanted like the Bill Burr energy on stage, but now I'm kind of realizing like, oh, okay, maybe that's not me. So
You're not an angry man from Boston? Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe he's not my dad, you know? But I really love Rory Scovel, and I've been studying him a lot because I love his cadence. I love the way he can riff on stage. So it's just been like studying other comics and trying to figure out my voice on stage.
Sure.
Because that's been the hardest thing so far.
Is figuring out, like what style is yours, and like what, like how it, like here's this craft. Like I feel like you're like probably in like the beginning parts of like foundational art school, right? And so that's like the 1 year of college that I did do was art school. Yeah. And so they had us take like, even no matter what your chosen medium was, they had you take every single kind of art there was during your first year to like study it from all the angles, right?
Yeah.
Like,
did you hate it?
Yeah, for sure, of course. I was there for photography, and I didn't take a photography course at all. Like, I took...
Oh, that's how my ex-girlfriend was. Is she wasn't able to take like a photography course until her last 2 years. She was like about to drop like the major in general, because she's like, God, I just want to do photography. I can't draw for shit.
Well, like, and like, don't get me wrong, it was like incredibly helpful.
Yeah.
Totally helpful. But like, as like a shithead 18, 19-year-old, your freshman year of college, you're like, I'm never gonna need this.
I'm never gonna use this.
Yeah, but it's meant to push your boundaries and find your voice. So like, if there's something you found compelling about sculpture, then you can apply that to your chosen craft. And like, so same thing with finding your voice in stand-up. Like, I actually think about art school a lot as a stand-up, because I'm like, well, what makes this like angle, you know, all these things, like how do I look at this in a different space, how do I apply this to like my life, all that kind of thing. Like, it's just drawing connections that don't exist. like, and that's all it is. But yeah, I think that that foundation building is like really hard and lasts forever. I first did stand-up 11 years ago, and I'm just now finding my voice. And that included a 5-year hiatus while I got my shit together. Yeah. Like, where like stand-up was not an active thing in my life anymore. It was a very, very passive thing. It was like, one day I'll get back to it. But it was one day I'll get back to it for 5 years.
That's how I feel about dance right now, because I'm not dancing right now. But like, part of me is, you know, eventually I'm like, I can go back. But also dance, it's so different. Because, you know, you don't have it.
I don't move at all on stage. I'm arguably too stationary.
No, me too, and I don't get it. Because I'm like, I'm a mover. So I don't, like, that's not dance. It's like, oh, I'm a mover. But I don't, some dancers, like, that's in their bio, which I think is funny.
They're a mover?
Yeah.
LOL.
I'm a mover. I'm like, is somebody reading this just might think you move people out of their house?
Yeah, you ever DM them and be like, can I?
What's
will you
your
help
rate
me move?
per hour?
Yeah, what's your hourly rate? Like, how much mileage do you charge? Like,
what are you talking about? Just throw me some gas money for the gig.
Okay, so yeah, I'm just trying to find your voice, and that's totally fair.
And like how to tell stories, but not like. When I first started stand-up, it was like I was telling stories, which is not jokes. It's just like stories with no punchline. So that was a learning curve, like just learning the structure of jokes. But now that I have like joke structure down, You know, it's just making them work.
Mm-hmm.
But sometimes I feel like the voice is a huge part of that, because it can just be the way somebody says something.
Oh, yeah.
Like, there's several people in this scene where it's just like the way Gavin says ladies. I don't know. It's funny. Like, you know, like, I feel like nobody else really gets away with that.
Yeah. The ladies?
Ladies.
But yeah, your inflection does matter. And like,
yeah.
The way I think about it sometimes in my head is like, I have different inflections in my head for the jokes, like, or like depending on how I feel that day.
Mm-hmm.
So like it's like, how do I approach this joke if I'm feeling like different in the moment? Because like that's part of authenticity in stand-up for me, is like, if I'm feeling down, like, how do I sell this to you in my current voice?
Yeah, that's
like,
a good way to think about it.
And so like, I have different lead-ins to jokes depending on different situations as well. Like when I'm writing a joke, or I like have a lead-in that I have that I know works, I'm like, okay, well, like, what are the different situations that could possibly come up in the room, and like, how do I change the lead into this? Or like, if I'm writing something that is true to me now, but I know I want to keep this bit for later when it may not be true to me later, what do I come up with as like lead-ins to this joke so that it's still relevant to my life and feels authentic when I'm telling it on stage?
Yeah.
Like, you can get into the minutia of this quick, like, and how you write jokes. It's crazy. But we'll spare you that for a little bit, and we'll move on to our final question of the show. Are you ready? Mm-hmm. All right, final question of the show. First albums like this are always very interesting to me. They say you have your whole life to make your first album, and then after that, the pressure's really on. Meaning, there's a certain freedom in figuring yourself out as an artist in the early days. As a newer comic, do you find yourself enjoying that freedom in your own work? What are some similarities you resonate with between you and this first record?
I do like the freedom of kind of like, nobody really has expectations of me yet. Like, I'm not going to be like, I mean, I get booked, but I don't think every time they're like, oh yeah, she's going to fucking kill. You know? Oh, bleep that out. I didn't say the F word. Can you say the F word?
Yeah, you can. We can curse on here.
Okay. Waffle House, man. You know what? They'll be okay with it.
It'll be all right.
But no, I do like the freedom of not really having any expectations, which I wonder if she had expectations for herself, or if she was just really fooling around. You know? Because it's almost like a diary entry.
Well, I find it hard to imagine she did not have expectations for herself, because like, I have expectations for myself. Like, I, you know, like, as because like I also am still in like that fun, like, low pressure environment where like I'm finding my voice, doing all the things. Like, granted, I'm just like a hair further along, but like still in it, you know, still trying to find it. Even like on this show specifically, I'm still in that era of like figuring it out. Like I was telling you before, this is the last one of this structure of the show. Like I'm revamping starting next time, you know, and like, so like there's some, but like they're all just mine. And I love that freedom. Like, there's going to be a time in my life where I look back on this as the good old days, because like there's nobody watching me. I'm just making stuff to make it.
Yeah.
And so like, same with like stand up, like there is going to be a time where I'm like, man, I miss the freedom of like going up there and absolutely doing terrible, because there's no expectations for me to like knock it out of the park.
Being able to like screw around.
Yeah. Like, I'm not the guy that comes to a mic and they're like, oh, he's going to save the mic. Like, if like the room's having a bad time, there is no expectation for me to get in there and be like, oh, he's going to bring the room back.
Yeah.
Like, it's a lovely freedom. And I can tell that there was like that kind of freedom in this album, because you said it's like a diary entry. Like, that's just freedom to like write what you're wanting to write about. That's cool. Yeah. But like, cause like I know Back to Black was high pressure, because this one was received well in England.
In England, in the UK.
But like Back to Black suddenly had record pressure, cause like I know like they wanted that record to be bigger, push harder, push boundaries, be more urban,
be more urban,
and so like that's
really
like,
sell it.
Yeah, really sell it. No, you like black dudes, and so like I can imagine that like, there's probably a part of her, you know, wherever she is, that's just like, I'm sure she loved Back to Black, but I think she liked this first one more because it was more hers.
Yeah.
And I imagine that might be difficult to transition into as you get like further along in like whatever career you choose. Like,
oh yeah, I can't imagine how stressful it would be. as a stand-up comedian, like putting out
Mm-hmm.
work after your first special, or like just even starting over
Yeah.
after your first special.
Yeah.
Because you have to, I mean, I personally would scrap everything. I know not everybody does that.
Yeah, but most people do. I know Carl's talking about, like, he's like, come see me record this special, and then I'm never doing it again.
Yeah. Which I feel like that's how it should be.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, Joe
You
Rogan
can-
recycled jokes on his last special, and everyone called him out for it. So, like,
Yeah. God, I didn't watch that.
neither did I.
Isn't it just like primal
I have no
things
idea.
now? But like, no, I would say, I mean, I know nobody has expectations for me, but I have very high expectations for myself.
Sure.
So I don't think I'm treating it like a low pressure environment at all.
Do you think you could, like, benefit from that?
Oh, 100%. I think that's why, not that I'm good, but I think I've gotten kind of good faster just because I'm out every night and I
Sure.
want to be better. And
Right.
so I am, like, I'm not just up there, like, oh, screwing around.
Do you find that valuable, though, every once in a while? Like, have you ever
To
gone
screw
up?
around?
Yeah. Have you ever
Yeah.
gone up super late somewhere and been like,
Oh, yeah.
screw it?
Yeah, like at Chameleon, if it's just like
Mhm.
nobody there, or if it's just like a comic open mic, because then if you get a laugh there, and you're like, okay.
Oh,
I
it
guess
has
that
legs.
was-
Yeah.
Yeah,
It has
that's
legs.
funny.
It'll crush somewhere.
Yeah, some normal folk will think that's funny.
Yeah, that's how it was last night at the mic. It was like if it got murmurs, I was like, all right, well,
Yeah.
this is worth trying again somewhere.
Yeah, at Commonwealth.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it was a weird room.
it was a very weird room.
But all right, man, we did it.
We did it.
How was your full spin experience? It was
great.
You were very nervous.
I was extremely nervous. I'm excited for your new format.
Yeah, it'll be a
If
little.
you ever have me back
Oh, you'll be invited back. Come on,
in 3 years.
in 3 years.
In 3 years. Sit me next to a politician, actually.
Yeah.
Please.
All right. Well, that does it for us. If you have anything you want to plug, this show's coming out in 3 days on YouTube. So if you have anything past 3 days that you want to tell the people about, now would be the time to do that.
I mean, I have the finals at Commonwealth Sanctuary.
Oh, heck yeah. That's Friday.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this will be out Thursday. If you're one of the early adapters of the show, and you're watching right now as it's coming out, and you want to do something tomorrow, Reagan is in the
Commonwealth
finals
Sanctuary.
at Commonwealth Sanctuary.
7 p.m. The finals. I'm in the rookie category, obviously.
There you go. Meanwhile, I am in the consolation show the next night called Best of the Fest at the Comet in Northside, because I already lost that competition. And so
We're in different categories.
as a as a consolation prize, I get to do time at the Comet, and that's going to be very fun. So
Yeah.
come and hang out. Support local comedy is usually the plug at the end of every show. Support local anything. Honestly, go hang out in your community. It's probably kind of fun. Unless you're in like Idaho. Probably not that fun.
Hey,
But-
I've heard it's fun. I met somebody that said they were vacationing in Idaho.
Yeah.
But that was also Elliot, and he's too scared to see me, so.
Dang. Well, is he hanging out in like the little tip part of Idaho? What goes on up there in the little
I
smokestack?
don't know. He said he was like whitewater rafting.
All right. That's cool, I guess.
Dangerous.
Yeah, but you're even more dangerous than whitewater rafting, apparently,
I
because
guess
he'd
so.
rather do that.
You could die.
All right, guys. Well, if you made it to this far, please like, comment, subscribe, do all the things. And thanks, Reagan, for coming on.
Yeah, thanks for
And
having me.
Yeah, for sure, dude. And we will catch you in the next one. Thanks so much, everybody.
Thank you.